It's recording. All right. Welcome to The Secret Life of Therapists. I'm your host, Dr. Habiba Zaman, and I have with me Counselor Samantha from Texas. And we have a fun one for today. I'm excited. I have known Samantha now forever. Let me just say that. Forever. I was about to say for how long. But basically, she's been in my life since I was 14 years old. And her much younger than that. And here we are now in this field, in this profession, figuring out why people do what they do, why people think the way they do, why they behave the way they do, all because we needed to do that for ourselves. Right?
Very true.
Samantha was actually the one that came up with the title of this show, which is
Memoirs of a Recovering Redneck. It's going to be a good one, guys. Buckle up.
Right. So welcome, Samantha. Thank you for being on this with me. I'm so excited to have you. I wish you were here on my couch, like in person.
Oh, me too. Me too. Part 2
welcome.
coming.
Part 2 coming. Yes. So, one of the things I've admired about you is how you've gone through so much adversity, so much childhood challenge, so many dysfunctional family members, and just all the things our textbooks are written about, right? Yes. We have endured, we have seen, we've lived, and you still, look at you. I'm so proud of you and where you are and what you've become. Like, it's just incredible. But people, I don't know if you hear this, but I hear it one too many times, is they're like, oh, you're so lucky. Right? I'm so lucky. And I'm just like, where do you see luck in any of this? That's an insult to me. Yes. Like, if you knew how we had to crawl through life to be some semblance of healthy, right?
Yes.
And you've had, just like I did, your mom was a powerhouse for me growing up. She was, she was that beacon of strength when I needed it. And there's a reason she was the way she was, right? The reason that she's so fierce and formidable, there's a fucked up reason for that.
Inter-childhood trauma. Yes.
Yes. So,
very.
Tell me about like everything. We were just talking about how even between me and you, the perception that we have of different family members were so different. The way I perceived your grandmother was very different from the way you perceived your grandmother.
Yes. The different perspectives of the person were so powerful. And I've always wondered how the other people in her life saw her, because I had such a blatant just experience of her. But I understood, because if I were at someone else's house, she'd be really nice and she'd bring me gifts, but if we were not in front of someone else, I saw a different side.
So what was that like? Did it make you feel like you were going crazy? Because I would feel like I'm going crazy. Because like I said, my reality was something so different. Right? It's hard to trust yourself or to trust your perception when you have these vastly conflicting experiences, right? You were telling me how it was your birthday, right?
Yes.
And your best friend was there? All right. So tell me the story, the full story. I think I had cut you off and to be like, we need to talk about this.
Yes. No, it was my birthday, and my best friend was going to get to stay the night on a school night. And my mom had made cake and all of these things. And Barbara, my grandmother, was going to come over. Or no, she wasn't planning. I think she was just planning to stop by. She probably needed money, if memory serves. And so I see her van pull up, and she had a very distinct van. And she always had like 5 or 6 poodle dogs with her. And her husband, John, to me, always looked like anti-Mr. Rogers. And so... I'm not wrong.
He was very stoic. He was very stoic, as if there was no affect, right? There was no emotional response. Like, my eyebrows are going up, this one and that one. And right, we have all physiological responses to whatever. And
Yeah.
there's nothing.
I think there was nothing in general. Like, I don't think he hit it well. I just think he was empty. That was my experience of him. I never had a good experience around John. But so this day I see her, and I was an energetic kid, very energetic,
Yes.
very happy. And so I'm
Lively.
bounding down the steps in front of my house, and I say, Granny Bob, it's my birthday. And my best friend's right behind me. And she goes, that's nice. Where's your mother? And I was crushed. I was like, oh man, that's embarrassing. And I should say, we didn't have a day-to-day relationship. She would pop in and out. But my mom heard. What was that?
How old were you when this happened?
I want to say I was like maybe 9 or 10, like 8 to 10-ish. So I was pretty young.
I mean, it always seems when somebody you love behaves that way, it's so dismissive, right?
Yes.
You're just not worth my time right now. You're the mosquito that's buzzing around my ear. It's a horrible feeling.
Yes.
But I think that 9, 10 age, especially, it's developmentally, that's just a hard one.
It was, and I was such a sensitive kid. Like, I wanted everybody to get along so deeply. And so I knew as soon as I heard the screen door shut behind me, I knew what was about to happen, because my mom was going to spin out. She yells at me and my friend to get inside. And I remember her turning to me and saying, don't open the window, because I was the biggest eavesdropper in the world. There's not a thing still. Supersonic hearing. I can tell you anything that's going on in the building. And so I was like, ooh, my mom's about to tear her up. And so we go inside, and my friend was like, that's your grandma? And I was like, yeah, I think she's the worst. But like, that was crazy, huh? And I just had kind of like, I mean, I was upset by it, but I didn't want to really portray that. I didn't want to hang on to it. And I remember my mom, just a quick lashing out there. My mom tore her up and came inside, and she had tears in her eyes. And my mom is not a crier. And she bent down to my level and said, don't you ever expect anything good from her. I will never forget it. And I was like, she said, don't ask her for anything. And I was like, I didn't. I did as an adult, I know what my mom was saying, but as a kid, I was like, I didn't ask her for anything. Like, just asking her to acknowledge the fact that I was born was never going to be a thing. And I remember when she was dying, my mom lost her job because she had to go to the nursing home so much, taking care of her. It was right across the street. My mom worked across the street. And she left without telling anyone because Barbara called it an emergency. And my mom just gave her all to care for this woman who never cared for her. And she knew, she had cancer, she was sick, and my mom took her to treatment. My mom and her sister, my mom more so. And she asked Mom if we would come up there to the nursing home to see her. Morgan, of course, my little brother, uncomfortable, but like Mom asked us to. So she said, so at the time I was dating a guy named Matt, and Barbara asks, hey, how is Sam and Matt? And Mom's like, oh, they're good. And she's like, well, do you think they would come see me? And she was like, well, they're in school. And she's like, Matt is in school? I didn't know he was old enough. And Mom says, you're talking about my son, Morgan. And she's like, oh, yes, Morgan. And I remember driving down there, and I was like, Morgan, have you ever met her? And he was like, no.
He's never met her?
The only memory he has of meeting her is when we went to be with her in the nursing home when she was dying.
Wow.
And so I'm sitting there talking to her, and she's asking all kinds of questions. And you remember Morgan, he's still pretty much the same now. He's got that Tanya attitude. Like, I'm still moved to say nothing. And I don't ever shut up. So I'm just talking to her, and and she'll ask Morgan something, and he'll go, well, sure. Yep. Like, I mean, he's not ignoring her. And, us, we were
But
yes,
he
ma'am,
also doesn't have a relationship with her. He doesn't know her, and
none.
she's dying.
Yeah,
So it's one of those, like, I'm here, but I don't know how to engage with you because I don't know you. But you're
no,
supposed to be family.
yes, and Morgan had such a close relationship with his biological grandparents, like
Mm-hmm.
Pa and Netta and Nana
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and our grandparents, and they really took me in too. Um, and so he's looking at this other side of his family that he never really, like, outside of you and Laramie, um, like some close family friends, like people who knew our family, he had no idea
Right.
who any of these people were. And I just remember, like, as I look back over my life, those moments are like, it was normal at the time. I think when you grew up how and where in these small communities,
Right.
this type of story isn't abnormal. But
We
as
thought it was normal. Girl,
oh
that shit is so abnormal. But yeah,
yeah,
that's just how it is. That's how, you know, now we can label it, right? That is stonewalling behavior where you shut somebody down and act like they don't matter. It's manipulative behavior. Our
yes,
response is also where you said you have, supersonic hearing. I do too. My kids call it the spidey senses, right? Like I can hear everything and smell everything. But those hyper aware tendencies, that's a fucking trauma response. That's not, I
yes,
have superpowers. It's a trauma response to make sure I'm gonna be okay.
yes. I remember reading about this as a grad student and being like,
Yeah.
I thought I was special. I mean, I am, but that's why. Like, I, the
Oh,
biggest course for me in looking back at my life was our marriage and family class.
oh, I won't do couples therapy anymore.
Yeah,
I won't do it anymore.
I
I
have
used
never.
to, and now it's only if it's a direct referral of a client of mine because they're like, Habiba, please. Habiba, please. Because I hate it. I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate it so much. Because you
Yes.
see all of the power dynamics. You see, and you can label it. You know what that's called now. And it's
Hmm.
very hard to watch the identified patient, right? Get
Oh,
trampled all over.
yes. In my supervision, so I did my internship and practicum at a court-ordered substance use recovery center.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And my supervisor there is phenomenal. Or she's my licensed supervisor now.
Mm-hmm.
And she will always, here's this new client, like, here's what's come up, here's what I'm thinking. And she will tell me, don't go mama bear. Don't, like, I can see it coming, zoom out, be aware. And I'm like, no, I know, like, I already know I should have started with that. Like, I know
So what
that
does
this,
that mean? Don't go mama bear. What does that mean? What does mama
I,
bear look like for you?
for me, it is kids getting disrespected and manipulated by their parents.
Mm-hmm.
If I have, so after I left the women's center, I was the only counselor at our local domestic violence prevention. And that was tough. And I remember one client in particular, um, borderline personality disorder, and she really wanted to work on herself. And I admired that a lot. She was in a relationship with a man or married to him, and he was like a TikTok pastor.
I'm sorry, a what?
A TikTok pastor.
Okay.
So there were a lot of strange culty vibes.
Uh-huh.
And some of their parenting strategies weren't, I couldn't label them as abusive. Like, it wasn't anything reportable, but it wasn't good.
It's that gray line,
Yes.
right? Where it hasn't fallen into something that's so clearly like not acceptable,
Right.
but it's not okay.
Right. And she would talk about, I'm struggling here with my daughter. Her daughter was a teenager. I think just turned 13. And I would go to my supervisor because I would be so frustrated. Like, I would get in the weeds with her. and we would have a tug of war. I was newly like provisionally licensed.
Yeah.
And I just didn't quite understand. So I had worked at the treatment center with criminal, substance use, a lot of personality disorders, a lot of trauma, but she presented very different. And it was such a great experience for me. But I remember coming to my supervisor and getting really frustrated. And she's like, "Do you hear yourself?" And I was like, "Yes." And I don't know what's going on. And she's like, "Okay, here's what I hear. You're mad at the way she's parenting, but that's not she doesn't want to go there with you. She wants to talk about her experience. She doesn't want to talk about parenting." And I was like,
And these are
"Oh."
mandated clients, or she willingly came to therapy?
She willingly. Mm-hmm.
See, I love that. I love it when the personality disorders want to acknowledge that there's something there. That part, it's very challenging work, but I hope people recognize that personality disorders don't come looking for help.
Right. And
so when they do, I'm like, just don't necessarily want to work with you, but yes.
Like, okay, that there's a problem, and you think that you might be able to make some changes. Like that, man, like that's the green flag. Let's go. I would love to. I can work with that. You can work with that. Like the client, you can work with the desire for something to change. If we can get to something to be you to practice a different level of awareness of patterns that are happening, and what can I do to stop the pattern? Oh, rock and roll. Like that is metal. But yeah, it was, I do. And here, now I work in a university in accounting. And so we have some young ones come in, and when they talk about their childhood experiences, I'm just like screaming into the void, like, "I've been there," like it's a lot. And I'm so proud of them for coming in and being willing to discuss. But it is, whew.
Why?
I am my mother's daughter in that I'm very direct. And so as a therapist,
I know nothing about that.
No, you would be shocked. So I struggle with knowing they need someone in their life to be like, "Okay, do this." And that can't be me. So I do find so much fulfillment in helping them understand, like holding the mirror up. "Hey, do you know what you're capable of?" Like, that's really empowering. But I would also love to be the life coach. It's like, "Here's your day, go do it." Like, yeah. But that catches them a fish. It doesn't teach them a fish. And when they come in and are like, "Hey, I finally realized that me being mean to myself all day, like my harmful self-talk really is affecting my relationship with myself and others. And I've started to work on it." Man, that's awesome. A lot of self-talk conversations, like, whose voice is that? "Well, yeah, it's something my dad used to say to me." You left Dad physically. What would it be like to leave him emotionally? Like, leave that behind.
What was it like for you?
For me, my parents are so deeply different from me in so many ways. Like, they were, I think, I've talked with them both about this. The old Southern, like, "Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about."
Yeah.
That is on my parents' greatest hits t-shirt. And there was something that was emotionally intelligent enough about me as a kid that was like, "I'm allowed to cry. Like, if you're uncomfortable, leave." And because I was so deeply sensitive.
And I wouldn't even call that sensitive. That's just being aware that you have emotions and that you're having a reaction to what's happening to you, right? And
Yes.
that's okay, right? That's not being sensitive.
Mhm.
That's how human beings are wired. We're just
Yes.
taught to snip those wires and close them off so that the two don't ever connect. And then in therapy, that's what we do, right? We
Yes.
put them back together so that it can go from point A to point B and you can allow yourself to feel it. But,
Yes.
you know, I was actually telling one of my clients this earlier today where she said, she was talking about, well, I told him, I was like, the reason I'm trying to ask for this, it's because I need to know where I'm going because I'm sensitive otherwise. And I get anxious. And I was like, we don't need to give all of those explanations for why we're requesting something of you. It's a request. The end. I don't have
Yep.
to justify why, if you do not give this to me, this will cause me harm in this way. Right? Like
Right.
that conversation of constantly having to prove why it's
Mhm.
okay for me to feel what I do, to say what I do, to ask for what I'm asking for. It's very hard to break.
Oh
And
my
what
God.
she had asked for was an address to where she would be staying. That's it. That's it. That was it. And like multiple requests that wasn't being met. And I had to stop her and be like, that's not you being sensitive. That's just, I'd like to know where the fuck I'm going to be staying. Like, it's really, there's nothing else to it than that. It doesn't need to be followed with, well, because if I don't, then I get anxious because I need to plan and I'm a planner and like all these things to justify really just, hey, what's the address?
Right. Yes. I still find myself, I over explain everything. And my husband, who is an angel, is like, you don't have to tell me that. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, well, I did this because of this and then this and this. And one time when I was 7, and he's like, you don't know me. You don't know me that. Like, if you want to tell me, cool, but you don't know me that. Like,
Right.
you don't owe
Right.
me anything. We're cool.
One of my frustrations during the time that I knew you, or lived right next to you, was something would happen and then I'm in trouble, right? And then I'm like, well, let me explain why that happened. And I would try to be like, well, it's not what you're accusing me of. It's, I'll give you the example because it's
Mhm.
seared into my brain. So, where I was living, the man of the house was rebuilding the floor in my room.
Mm.
And there was no wall. So it goes from the bathroom to my room and it was just all open. And I came home from school and he had said, I just put those floorboards down, make sure you don't step on it. Makes sense. But I went to the bathroom. And like I said, this is part of the bathroom and part of the way I would normally walk. So afterwards, I used the restroom and then I took like 2 steps on it and I was like, fuck, right? And then backpedaled. But then I went out and I was like, hey, I did step on it when you told me not to. It completely like just, I wasn't thinking, I'm sorry, but I wanted to let you know where it was. Because again, I was told, don't do this. So if something's jacked up on the floorboards now because I stepped on it, and it was plyboard, it wasn't flooring, it wasn't anything. It was literally the subfloor, which I know
Yes.
now. But at 16, I did not, right?
Oh.
So I didn't know what the fuck that was, or 15, whatever my age was. And then at the end of the evening, they're standing there with the paddle because now I'm in trouble. And I was like, what happened? So, what was told to my birth mother was I had completely, blatantly disregarded and disrespected him and blah,
Mm.
blah, 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 blah. I was like, that's not what happened. This is what I was trying to explain. And then if I wanted to do that, then I would never say anything. I would just stomp all over it and then just be like, what you gonna do about it, right? Because that was the perception that was painted of me at the time. And I was like, that's not what happened. what I was trying, and she stops me immediately and she goes, "You're always making excuses for your behavior." And I remember I was like, this is helpless. I feel helpless and this is literally hopeless right now. But I'm going to tell you anyways. And I told her, I was like, I'm not making excuses. I'm trying to give you an explanation of what happened so that you can make a proper judgment. Obviously not the language I had used at that time,
Right.
but something along the lines of, I'm not making an excuse. I'm trying to explain what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And got my ass beat anyways.
I think about even just like the paddlings and this will be very very controversial in my parts.
Isn't it all?
Like, and my mom and I have talked about this. Like, we got whooped with a boat paddle.
Do what?
We got whooped with a boat paddle, like an oar.
Yeah. Did you see? Do you remember mine? It was like that, and it had holes on it.
Yes, to make it more
like
aerodynamic.
Paddle. I don't know how else to explain it. It looked like a cricket bat, right?
Yes.
And then they put holes in it so that the air would go through and it would sting more.
Yes. Like, I'm sorry. You would always, and my mom figured this out at some point, you were going to get a bigger change in behavior from me. And this is also this is also bad, but just by saying, Sam, that's disappointing. Dagger.
Exactly.
Like, you didn't have to touch me.
Absolutely
like,
done.
Just like look at me like this.
Like that, or that hurt my feelings.
Yes.
You did that and I felt disrespected and that hurt my feelings. Because I will say that to my children and it's like, oh, right? Just they cannot handle when I'm hurt or when I'm disappointed in them. Like they cannot handle it. Right. Because they love me. They don't want to do those things. Right. All of the other shit's not necessary. And there's also an age range, and you know this if you studied child development, there's an age up until where corporal punishment is not effective nor necessary, if ever. But it's sure as hell isn't necessary after that age.
No.
And I was 15.
Ugh.
And it absolutely. It was just, it's a power dynamic. It's a power differential. It's just to make you feel powerless. That's the point of it.
It makes me think of, you watched Matilda, right, with Danny DeVito?
Yes.
When he's like, I'm big, you're small, I'm, smart, you're dumb, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like,
that's exactly what it is, though.
Yes. And nobody in my house was dumb. Like, we could have talked things through. And I think that is part of my, compulsion of word vomit all the time. Like, let's see if I can just, if I put enough words to this, it'll make sense and we can skip the drama. Like,
right.
And
or maybe you won't do it again, right? Yes. Maybe you won't do this hurtful thing again.
Yes.
If I find a clever way, a creative way, a new, maybe nuanced manner of conveying this message, then maybe you won't do it again.
Yes. And, I have become a mom. I have 4-year-old twins, for those listening elsewhere, my precious little babies, Max and Violet. And I think of them and just some of the stuff, even the town we grew up in. You can't see me, but I am jaw on the floor. If I thought that my kids were exposed to any of that.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Right.
Right. The fighting, the physical fights at school. I remember my mom being afraid that I would be involved in a fight because my friends messed around with older girls' boyfriends.
Oh my goodness,
my friends were
taught in school, right? Yeah. I would absolutely fight in school, but I would fight for other people, the ones who wouldn't fight, the ones who were bullied. So I have scars on my hands from getting into physical altercations for it, but it was not because of things like that.
Oh, well, that's what you remember. The little friends I had.
Names shall not be named.
Oh no, but you know who I'm talking about. And
I
so do
do.
they. It was nuts. It was nuts. And so my mom, but they were my best friends. And my mom knew that she couldn't, and I don't think she wanted me to end that friendship. But I remember her being like, okay, like here's fight class, and showing me what to do if a girl bigger than me jumped on me.
Yeah.
And like me being like, I don't want to do this.
I
Like,
know. You were such a
and
sweet little pageant girl.
I was, and like I wanted to be, but it just my family didn't know what to do with it. Like
Yeah.
they had
Yeah.
no idea. Like, what do we do with this, eighth grader that wants to read? Like,
Do you remember I used to get punished for reading?
yes,
Because I would always be criticized and like grounded because I was in a corner reading.
yes, yes,
Or then you remember I would go sit in the graveyard and go read there because nobody would come find me there.
yes.
Hmm.
It wasn't a long walk, and that wasn't an unkept cemetery, but like that in itself is so weird. Like,
Right. How would you say that that would ever be normal? Oh, yeah, I would go read in a cemetery so nobody would bother me or I wouldn't get in trouble.
and
Who
like,
says stuff like that? I mean, plenty of people say stuff like that. I don't want to say that our traumas are any different than other people's. It's just a different flavor. It's the little masala that makes me me.
yeah,
But, at that time, I'm like, yeah, I did because I found peace in a cemetery.
and it's like
But my
I
best friends knew where to find me. Remember, like Lynn would come find me there. He'd be on his little
yes,
bike. Travis would come find me there, right? Over the
yes,
train tracks. Like the kind of safety that it's again that dynamic, right? You have this severe dysfunction,
mm-hmm,
right? It is. Like, let's call it what it is. That's shit's severe dysfunction.
yes,
And then you have the other side of the coin where you have these people who are so fiercely protective of you too, that show
yes,
you endless unconditional love too. Like those two
yeah,
people are still in my life now,
yeah,
just like so it's just again the part that fucks you up because you're so confused.
yes,
Like you
yes.
don't know what to do with it.
And like I remember I didn't understand why, like, not why my parents were the way they were, but like, why is it bad that I am not like screaming at you? I mean, I
Mhm.
can scream and holler, and I can fight with the best of them, but I don't want to. Like, I would rather sit down and hold your hand and talk to you. And my parents would be like, "What am I doing with that?" Like, I remember them both at certain points being like, "What do you need from me? Like, what what do you need?" And like, I need to, like, I remember being like, I need to know that it's okay that I cry. I need to know
Yes,
that
just
you
that's
still like me. Like, I I knew from a young age the difference in love and like. Like, I
yeah,
knew my parents loved me. I questioned if they liked me.
right,
And like, even that like was really, it's hard. I was just very different. I'm not like super into hunting. Like, I'm not like really excited by the idea of physical labor. Like, no.
right. From because it was a small town. You remember how much I got mocked for not looking the part of wearing what I would borrow your mom's clothes for fuck's sake to fit in. Do you
Yes.
remember?
Yes.
The way I would normally dress, people are like, what the fuck are you wearing? Like, why
Yeah.
are you trying to be fancy? And I'm like, this is not
No.
fancy. It's just different. Right. But I
Right.
wouldn't be for it. Or the way I would sit or the way I would eat. Right.
Yeah.
Like everything was criticized if it wasn't what the rural area,
Yeah.
what everybody else did.
And I think the thing that astounds me most when I look back on that, my experience at least, is sometimes the biggest bullies and perpetrators were the teachers. Like, there were not layers of protection where they should have been. Now, I'm not saying that they all were that way, because they weren't, but like I think of a few instances where, like, where were the adults? Like, kids should not be talked to like that. You should not be ridiculed for having excellent posture. You have always had excellent posture. Like, like, sit like Jessica. Like, yes, your back should be straight. Like, that's no. It floors me.
There wasn't. There was so much that was acceptable behavior that you look back on now and you're just like, no chance in hell, buddy.
No.
Especially between the adults and the children. But in every area.
Yeah. I remember there being things that I heard and were said and done to me by teachers that I was like, man, I'm going to do you a favor and not tell my mom. I'm going to do you a favor, give you a chance at being a because my mom, you'd be done and dusted, buddy. I mean, and that in itself is a trauma response. And, I've talked to her about that. Like, I was scared of what you would do to these people, because she would have. My dad too. Curtains. And I'm like, no, I need you here. Like, I need you not in jail. My first cousins on my dad's side, their mom was in jail for attempted murder. And I remember, no shit.
I didn't know that.
These girls. So you'll remember Nicole. Mm-hmm. She's her age to you. Her little sisters. She had 2 little sisters. Their mom was in jail for attempted murder. And so I always had this idea of like, yeah, I don't want to have to go to jail. Like, I don't want to have to go to Huntsville to visit my mom. Like, I knew where the prison was. Like, did I know these things? And like, yeah, my granny takes my cousins down there, and like, I don't want to do that. I'll give you a pass, buddy. Like,
yeah.
But no, I see you. Like, and just so normal. So incredibly normal. And like, that's like, I can look back and be like, man, I've always been a protector. Like, I appeared very, and even still, like you pointed out earlier, I'll call myself sensitive. I'm just human. I'm just connected. And I acknowledge the power of that. And like, I don't feel ashamed of it at all. There's no shame in my grave. I will cry anywhere and do.
Yeah.
And will.
I had to teach myself to be able to do that.
Of course.
I had to learn how to. And now, like, especially for my children, after my divorce, my son said something. He was like, basically, he was like, you're either good or you're angry. There is no in between. As in, like, he couldn't identify the range of fucking emotions that a human being experiences, because that was the survival that had gotten me to that point. So they didn't know what to do when they saw me excited for the first time. They were literally like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What are you doing? As I was like trapezing down we were going to go swimming with the dolphins when I took them to the Bahamas.
Yes.
And I was like, I was like dancing to the music, the Caribbean. I love Caribbean vibes, right? I was dancing. They're like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, I'm dancing. They're like, why? And now, like, anyone who knows me now or meets me now, they're like, she dances and sings all the fucking time.
That's my memory of you is,
right.
I have to tell you, small, you're getting ready to Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the computer, and you had Salt Shaker by the Yin Yang Twins playing, and we were shaking, like we were moving it. The trailer was rocking. And every time that song comes on, I think of you and being like, no, this is how you dance. And you're like showing me, and I'm like, yeah.
No, that was literally beaten out of me from that time up until my mid-30s, where I lost all of that. The amount of just sadness and repression, right? Just dimming down whoever I am just to be, easy to tolerate, like until my mid-30s. And that was when I was just like, no, my kids they can't just think that that's how to be, because then they would always say I was strong, right? I was the strong one in the household. But that's not strength.
No.
That is dissociation and repression, right?
Yes.
Like emotional stuffing. Like no part of that is healthy. And I was like, that. And then they're also not experiencing me as a human being, right? I'm a robot at that point, because I was in survival mode. Most of the time I'm good, right? And every now and then I'd get angry about usually what happened with their dad, and what was being done to them, right? So they would see me be upset and angry or good.
Yeah.
But what about disappointed? But what about sad? But what about hopeful? What about, excited? Again, surprised, curious. Where the fuck are all of those? And they were like, what you mean? And luckily I can say this, it was too late, but early enough. Let me put it that way, for me to course correct. My youngest was 4 and my eldest was 7. So this was a decade ago. And now, I'll be watching Korean dramas, are my favorite, Chinese dramas. So they're like, I'm giggling and my son's upstairs. He's like, I can hear you giggling. You're just like giggling away, right? Yes. Giggle all the time. And then immediately, like within 30 minutes, I'm just sobbing because those dramas are intense. Those dramas are intense. And I'll just be crying, or, they'll show me something. And because again, if I don't allow myself to experience my emotions, how are they going to?
Right.
If I'm not able to communicate or stand up for myself, or, I've taught my kids to negotiate, right? These are the rules. This is how it is. This is what I expect of you. But they get to negotiate. And they were taught from that young, right?
Yeah.
Like to be able to negotiate, but very respectfully. And I still have final say.
Yeah.
So be like, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, and then it's bedtime, right? And then they would come back and they're like, if we did this, 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 and then if I add that, can I stay up for 30 minutes longer? And I'd be like, fine. Very well. And then not only encouraging it, but like actually praising them for it, right? Like, fantastic job negotiating, buddy. Like, good job. Because again, they could come up with something that might be a better solution that I didn't think about at that moment. And I never had that opportunity to learn that my voice or my mindset or my intellect had any value, right? No. So that's what I really taught and reinforced at a young age, because like I said, what you remember of me, that died a long time ago. And I had to bring that back to life. And it's taken a decade to get back to where the fuck I am now.
Yes. I'm so happy to hear that.
I love that that's the memory you have. My favorite memory of you is bouncing from bed to bed to Le Poisson. Little Mermaid.
So that's one of Vi's favorite movies. And I snatch her up when the song plays and I dance around and I think of us. Like, like just Hollywood would go nuts for that. And like, I think too, for me, growing up the way I did and then getting this education and being like, oh, wait, like, oh, okay, that wasn't healthy. And then I see my kids and I tell my husband all the time, I'll look at him and I'll go, this is so healthy. Like that Max can be like, hey, I don't like that. Like he's safe to tell me that.
Right.
Like I don't love him sticking his tongue out at me, but that kid is safe. Like he's psychologically safe, and being able to be like, man, like I provided safety for these kids. And I think all the time when we learned about generational trauma, generational curses, like the things that even my parents broke.
Yeah.
Nuts. Like, they were tough because they had to be. But I remember, like, both my parents telling me they were very, very strict about my grades. Like, you're smart. There's no reason for you. Like, they didn't understand that smart wasn't across the board. Like, if you're smart, you're just getting everything. Like, no, I cannot handle chemistry, but that's beside the point. Like, like, no, I can read every book in the world, but I'm telling you right now, chemistry doesn't make sense. But like, just I kind of lost my train of thought when I thought about chemistry because chemistry still haunts me. But to this
That's
day,
statistics for me. I hated statistics. I was on the floor here a couple of years ago when I got my doctorate on my 4th level statistics, right? Advanced statistics, on the floor, sobbing. And my child comes up and looks over at me and he's just like, statistics. And I was like, yes, I don't understand. And he was
yeah,
like, did you do the work? And I was like, yes. And he's like, and I was like, I got an A. And he was like, what the fuck? I was like, but I don't understand. Like, conceptually, it just doesn't. It does not compute.
yes.
I will
And
I will memorize the steps just so I can do them and do them well, but I don't understand why I'm doing what I'm doing.
right, and for me, understanding is everything. If I don't
Yeah,
understand it, I can't explain it, then I don't want, like, I can't be a part of it.
because that's why we're in this field. We need to
Yes,
know the hows and the whys. We're
yes.
curious as curious gets. So if you
I
can't make sense of it, it will drive you insane.
Yes, I well, in like people, like people in my life, like, why are you? And I've always been deeply curious about why people are the way they are, and I've loved to hear people's stories. Like, I grew up listening to trauma all the time, like my friends, my family. Like, I am comfortable with other people's trauma. My own
Which is
gets a
also why
little,
you're not comfortable with surface level bullshit.
yes, like, and bullshitting was not allowed in my house. Like,
Mm-mm.
that should have been the sign on the door. Now, to a certain extent, like, there was a lot of bullshit going on in there, but like, if you know, you
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah.
like, my mom, like, oh well, this. Sure. Mm-mm. If you're gonna lie, don't open your mouth. Like, and reading, like, being able to read people. I understand that
Also
that's a
trauma
response.
response.
Yes. Like, I can look at you, like, not really looks, I have to be careful with that because I have been wrong a time or two. But like, oh, that person is not allowed around me. And I will
Yeah.
never once be kind. Like, I am to that point in my life. Like, I can smell a bad person a mile away and you will get
It's
nothing
what
from
keeps
me.
you safe.
Yes. And I've had to learn how to not make it my mission
Oof.
to
Fix the
protect it.
strays.
Yes, like, it, it's exhausting, and I think the biggest part for me that I have to be mindful of in this phase of life is my self-care. I
Yeah.
have to take my hat off. Like,
Yeah.
when I was in practicum and internship, I my drive to my site was about 15 minutes. And it was tough. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad I started there. Like, I'm deeply grateful for the experience because I became a much better therapist for it. But, I remember there are clients that stick with you and that always will. And I had one, her mom had gotten her started on heroin at 11. And I would, on days I saw her, allow myself to get in my car. I would have to leave quickly because I would be crying. I would cry until I got to the red light, and then I was like, okay, I do not bring this any further. This can't come home with me.
Right.
This cannot enter my door.
Right.
And I remember, like, even just the vicarious trauma, my mom was an ER nurse,
Mm-hmm.
and she would come home. I remember a young boy died in the ER, and she came home, and crawled into my room, like came into my room, laid down with me in bed, which was not like her, and hugged me and cried. And I was like, what's going on? And like, of course, I'm like, Mom, what's wrong? Like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? Are you crying? And she's like, rough night at work, just going to give you a hug. She started smoking cigarettes that day. And like, she will even tell you to this day, like, self-care was not an option. Like, it didn't cross her mind. So, not an ounce of self-preservation. And that is my cautionary
The only times I saw her actually rest was because she had a blinding migraine and couldn't function.
Yes.
Which is not resting.
No, that's shut down. Yeah.
So
and that has, as someone who's like, I'm a helper, I'm not an ER nurse, I'm a helper. And I look at her and I think, okay, I got to take care of me, because she has several autoimmune diseases. My mom was also a firefighter and the chief of first responders at a volunteer fire station in our small town. Arthritis in her back. I mean, and she says, like, I neglected my body. And unfortunately, like, this is a piece of it. And so I'm just so mindful of that. And like, okay, I cannot be plugged into that all the time. I have to take care of me. And self-care is something that I talk about every single client with every single client about, like, how are you taking care of you? We are meant to do more than work. We were not designed to
work. Meant for living.
Yes.
I've been saying that recently. Where did I don't know if I read it or I watched it. Because, when you read, you hear the voice in your head. Yes, or do you? Because I do. Absolutely. I hear the character's voice in my head. So sometimes I'm like, did I watch it or did I read that? Either way, the statement was, life is meant to be lived. What the fuck are you doing? Right? And I was like, oh, why am I in my 40s, my mid 40s now being like, life is meant to be lived? Really? But it's true. Like, sometimes it's just that simple. But it took me till then to be like, it's so simple. And if what I'm investing in isn't a reflection of that living where I feel alive by doing what I'm doing or being with who I'm being with, or what the fuck am I doing? Yeah. Right?
Yes. Yes. And
because I didn't. You remember, I just told you, from 15 to 33, it's just my dad at one point, and I took it so personally, and I was so insulted just because he says a lot of insulting things as jokes, right? And he thinks it's funny, but I remember being so insulted. He told me once, what happened to you? You're like a shell without a soul. Woo. But as an adult now, I'm like, yeah, but you were.
Yeah.
I was. Right? It wasn't a dig, it wasn't an insult. It was concern, because Southeast or South Asian parents, that's how they showed love and concern. But being like, why you look like a skeleton today? Right? Why are you this way? Right? It sounds like criticism, but it's them being like, I'm concerned, I am seeing this and I'm concerned, without saying I'm concerned and I'm worried about you, child, right?
Yes.
But that comment was so true. Yeah. From that time until, like I said, my mid 30s, when I was like, no, I'm going to try to start having emotions again, see what it's like to experience life again. But yeah, life is meant to be lived. And how much of us are actually living?
Yes.
Or are like going through life just, living out what was written for us, the narrative that was written for us.
Yes. And
ours could have been, geez, can you imagine what our stories could have been with what we've endured? The definition of what normal was for you, what that could have looked like if you just let it play out, instead of stopping at some point and be like, you know what? Mm, that doesn't seem right.
Right. Like, I never, like, I had to kind of live outside my body a little bit. Like, I would plug in, but I also would have to be like, okay, like, I can't,
Yeah, dissociate. Fuck yeah.
yes. And
Queen of
so,
dissociation.
ooh, must be.
Oh, I did it over this weekend. I had a conference and the therapist that went with me, she was like, did you just dissociate again? I was like, yes, I did. Because that's too much. I'm not absorbing that. Whatever this is going on right now, I'm not absorbing. She's like, you are a fucking mess. And I was like, yes, I am. Like, I dissociate by choice just to
Yes.
be able to protect my peace.
Yes. Like, I cannot give everybody access to me. Not every story, not every, no, no. And
They're
I'm
not
so
supposed to go
grateful.
either. They're not supposed to have that.
No. And teaching people to be like, I think something I hear, and my clients are typically, 18 to like 24. And I have some older, I've had a 17-year-old working here, but like, and I don't know if I don't know what it is. It might be just a generational thing. Like, oh no, but that would be selfish. It is, it is not selfish for you to be one of the people you take care of. It's
Absolutely.
not. And I
Now,
always,
how do you perceive? See, it doesn't bother me anymore. I don't absorb it anymore.
uh-huh.
I used to. Even if this was 6 years ago, it would have made its way.
Yeah.
But I had people commenting. They were like, you really need to. Do you do Botox? And I was like, no, I don't. Have no problems with it, but I don't. And she
Mhm.
was like, you should really consider it. It'll fix your resting bitch face.
Why would I want to do something like that?
And then like this person I've known for a long time, I was like, nope, my face is my face. My face is a reaction to, yes, what I'm feeling at the moment. It is just what it is. If
Yeah.
somebody's experiencing resting bitch face, it's because they're not safe, right? It is
Yes.
just what it is. But then a new person that I had met who kind of like imposed herself into the situation, into the area, which was fine, was telling me the whole life story, and it's great. It's fantastic. But again, lots of energy, lots of emotion. And I just met you, right?
Yeah.
But something about that was just what it was. And I was just like, oh, and at one point I giggled because it was nonstop talking for 45 minutes on that side right here. So I giggled at something that was said, and she's like, oh my God, I made you laugh. Did you see that? She told the guy that was in front of me. Did you see that? She does know how to smile. You're just so serious and closed off. And I looked at her and I was like, yes, I'm very selective. Which again would have in the past been like, I can't say shit like that because then that's I'm being bitchy or I am being this or but no, I am selective though. The
Yeah.
reason you're getting the version of me you're getting at the moment is because of what my subconscious is picking up on and what's safe and what's not and who needs to have access to this and who doesn't.
Yes. Not like, no. And I think when you are a helper, when you are a therapist, people will sense something that, like, you see them, like it's a light in your eye, it's something. And so they feel like they need to, because so many people just hold it in. And I've had to, I want to be receptive. I don't want to shut people down because I think that's a lot of what's happening right now. But I also have to like protect me and to like, oh my
Oh
gosh.
no, we talked for hours. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? It
Yes.
was one conversation because again, there was a lot more energy on and vivaciousness on that side than it was from my
Yes.
end. But she's absolutely right. She was just like, it took a minute for her to get there for me to respond because I had to see if you were safe or not. No
Yes.
part of that was giving me, let me open it because then I'm going to absorb that energy,
Yes.
right?
And
Then
think about it. And yes, like it
I
makes
don't
sense
have
for
the bandwidth for that.
no.
I don't have the bandwidth for that. And so by the end of this night is when the other one was like, did you dissociate again? I was like, fuck yeah, I did. Do you see who we're surrounded by? Oh my God. I'm gonna go shimmy over here and like I went to the front of the restaurant and I was just dancing with the flamenco dancer that was there. I was like, we're just gonna, because that's how I give to me,
Yeah.
right? It's actually filtering what I'm allowing to be absorbed, because in my work and with people, genuinely, which is hilarious, because the friends that I've made, I've told them this, and they're new friends that I met at this conference. They're like, I have not once seen you in these last 3 days have a resting bitch face. I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, oh, it's there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's definitely there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's typically in response to me being like, I can't. Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. Go there. Right?
Yes, I remember my husband and I were driving to North Carolina. His mom had a condo in the Outer Banks, and and we stopped in Memphis, and I needed to use the bathroom. And so I get out, we're at this rest center, and I come walking across the parking lot, and I get in the car, and he was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "You have a face like thunder." And I was like, "Oh,
right.
there were people in there." And he was like, I was like, "I want to give off. Please do not speak to me. Like, I want to communicate that. And I have to, because if not, I will be standing there
endlessly.
And like mostly men, like, God, don't talk to me. Do not speak to me. Do not perceive me. Where's my invisibility cloak? Do not perceive me. Like, no. Yep. Because, oh, you have such a nice smile. No, I don't. You can't see, but I'm giving I have learned, so in my family, there is a Hensley eyebrow, and me and one other family member are the ones who cannot do it. But I became a mother. I can do it a little.
What, the one eyebrow that goes?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I've never been able to.
My clients will be like, "Hey, the eyebrow is going." And I was like, maybe I should fucking get some Botox. Like, sit down. Only this one. I can't do both.
No, I can't either. Morgan can. I can't. But my mom was getting Botox for her migraines, and they were like, "We have to give you like a little rep. Do you want us to?" And she's like, "Yeah." Whoever it was not good at Botox, and they hit her brow, and it was just she was engaged. Like, you know what I'm talking. You know exactly the face I'm talking about. So we were like, "Mom," I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Huh?" But she's got a Hensley eyebrow.
The Spock, the the Spock eyebrows.
And I was like, "Girl, we couldn't take her seriously," because that's what she would do, like when we're in trouble. And so my brother and I are like, "What's up? Like, do we need to do the dishes?" Like, if you remember one thing about our family at my house, dishes were not done. We were not like, me and my brother would box over who had to do the dishes. So mom's coming out.
I would do them when I was over there.
You angel. Yes. Just a whole family of, we are not doing the dishes. We will use every dish, every cup, every spoon, every pan, and they will line the counters.
Yeah.
And wash one. And oh God, I just think about some of that stuff. And my husband, bless his heart, when we started dating, he would come over to my apartment to walk my dog for me. So he had a key to my apartment. And I would come home every day to my dishes washed. And I remember telling him, I was like,
that's when I fell in love with you.
Yes.
When you were doing
shit. Immediately. And I didn't know this at the time. Now he's being nice. He was obviously being nice, but also his things, like, I cannot go to bed if there are dishes dirty in the house.
Yeah.
Like, he likes to shut the house down. Like, I don't like to wake up to dirty dishes, so I take 5 minutes to do them. And I'm like, 5 minutes? And he's like, yeah, every dish in the house doesn't get dirty before you do them. And I'm like,
sure, that is correct.
What else do you know? Fold your clothes when they come out of the dryer?
Never. Absolutely not. That is the bane of my existence. Is laundry. They're all clean. They're always clean.
Yeah.
Oh, just how long it takes for them to be put away is another story.
Sure. Impossible. Impossible. But for like just those little changes, like in my life, like, oh, we can clean up after ourselves a little bit and everything doesn't become, because in my house, the cleanliness was the fight between my mom and stepdad. Like,
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. And it was
Which is probably why I did the dishes while I was there.
Absolutely.
To make sure that didn't happen.
Yeah, because it was uncomfortable to hear them screaming all the time. Like, yeah.
I remember doing them. I don't remember why.
Because
but I remember I was going it was done before they came home from work.
Yes. Yes. I also remember you and I making hamburger helper.
Yes, we did.
Ooh.
Do you remember we would put a whole block of that Velveeta cheese in there?
Yeah. Yes. 2 cups of sugar and a gallon of sweet tea. And in Kool-Aid.
Yes. Yes, I did. But that's what I was taught. That is literally what I was taught.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how I maintained my size for as long as, like, we ate. I mean, but like, it was, I mean, I was also an athlete. I was involved in other things, like,
right.
You know, but I mean, we ate red meat. I mean, my mom would have loved for us to eat vegetables. I mean, if you remember, like, my great grandparents had a garden. And so we had access to all these amazing vegetables. Yes. So between Mama that lived next to us, between the two of us, was she married to Bill when you were around?
Yes.
So they would have a small garden between the two of us. And that was just their tomatoes. And if you'll remember, I used to eat tomatoes like apples.
Yes.
Like with Creole seasoning salt on them. And then across the road, they had that huge plot of land that was a garden as well. So we had access to the best vegetables. And I'd be like, oh,
had no idea.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we didn't go and get them a lot. Like, we were eating 7-Eleven. I also remember when you worked at the 7-Eleven.
The fried fish. I did work there.
Yes, they had the fried fish dinner. But I remember walking, because you would walk. I remember you walking to work. And I remember going with you. And I sat up there with you all day with Joe.
You did.
And swatted flies. That was my job for the day, was to swat flies away from the food. It was green tomatoes.
Like, and it's like, if I were to told my kids that I had started working at 14, right?
Yeah.
And the reason for that was so we could have a phone in the house, because she wouldn't keep a phone. And it was so that I could pay for the phone so that when my dad would call, he could get a hold of me.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was why. And so her other kids, like, because I would go buy food.
Yeah.
So, but my kids have no idea what that's like. And they never will.
No, and thank God, like,
life mission of mine that they will never, ever have to experience what I did.
No, and I hate it for the people that are like, well, I survived it. So, yeah, like, listen to what you said. You
doesn't mean everybody else has to, right?
It's not a rite of passage to suffer.
And see, and that's going back to what I had said when we started this. When I asked you, do people ask you, like, or say to you how lucky you are? Because they do that. They diminish the work that I've done, the work that every other survivor of whatever trauma has done to get to where they are, to be fucking some semblance of healthy, right?
Yeah.
And no one really can conceptualize the amount of energy and effort that goes into choosing to be different, choosing to make sure that this will not continue past me.
Mm-mm.
Right? Like that, stopping that generational trauma like you do with your children. Like you said, your son sticks his tongue out at you at 4, because he's 4. But the fact that he feels safe enough to do so, instead of being like, oh, well, mommy's gonna get upset because I can't do that, right?
Yes.
Or my kids negotiating with me what's, where they can do this or that or whatever. I remember one time I made my dad apologize to my kids, and he was like, I don't apologize to children. And I was like, you may not, but I do. And
Yes.
my youngest was only 3 at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was such a big fight between us, which if you would have seen us earlier today, we cut up and we're stupid with each other. My dad and I, we're just acting a complete fool, right?
Yeah,
Because he's worked on himself enough to see the difference. But I remember that fire to make sure that they don't ever experience or have the mentality or have the experiences that snuffs out who they are. I was going to say dim down, but mine was just snuffed out altogether. Right.
yeah,
And I don't want their fires to ever be, forget dim, but like not even close to not being as bright as they're supposed to be.
absolutely. And if it happens that it dims, it's not going to be the family. Like the world may affect your flame, but it won't be anybody that you should be trusting.
Yeah.
Like, and I, like I was saying earlier with crying, my
Yeah.
mom comes up and keeps the twins. She keeps her grandkids whenever she can. Every weekend, she would love to have a grandkid.
Amazing.
Yes, and we love her for it. And I know to her, like, this is my opportunity to be a little bit different.
We
And
do. Yeah.
yes, and I love that for her.
Yeah.
So she was up, and she'll stay at our house or go stay at Morgan's house. Um, and with him and his fiance and their kids, and um the kids were out playing, and Violet is, sis has big feelings, and she's not afraid to let you know, and I love it. I'm like, yes, tell me how you feel, baby. And so she will get pissed, and she'll go, you are not my best friend anymore. And like, she'll run off and cry. In this specific situation, they were outside doing something. Oh, we got them a jungle gym looking thing, and there's like a net, like a hammock in it. So if they fall, like, it catches them. She and Max are climbing up, and you'll think this is interesting. You will know what I'm talking about. So remember, Morgan's first word was Aya, and that's what he called me.
Yep. Which
Violet's,
is caregiver in my language.
I know. Isn't that so interesting? Like, I wanted his kids to call me Aya, but nobody calls me that anymore.
Oh.
I made Morgan stop calling me that because kids were bullying me. Like, and I was
Kids
like,
are
what?
assholes.
I know. I tell Joe all the time, I don't know how to react to the school bully. Like, I might have to beat him up. But, like, that's me going, Tanya. I say that all the time. Tanya is a verb in our family. Like, I will
Yes.
Tanya you.
Yeah.
But so my daughter is climbing up, and Max is climbing up, and she calls him Doo-Doo. Doo-Doo is what he has always been to her. And so they get too close to each other, and she falls, and she comes out, and she's, Doo-Doo knocked me down, and she starts crying, and my mom's like, no crying. And I'm like, she can cry if she wants to. And
Right.
my mom is like caught off guard, and I was like, hey, we don't say that to her. Don't ever say that to her. And she's like,
Yeah.
heard. Okay. And I'm like, that's how you treat you. That's not how you treat them.
Yeah.
We're safe to cry here. And I understand my mom never was, and I hate that for her.
Right.
And it's the conversation she and I have had. I'm like, I can't be your therapist, but here's a piece of advice. And for free. But yeah, no, we cry. And it's okay. And if you need to cry, like, I'll hold your hand, or you want to go be by yourself. You get to choose. But you do not have to run and cry. You can cry in the room that you're in.
Right.
And I think that's for the people. Like, if I could give people one gift, it would be lifting the shame of emotion. Like we were talking, like
Yeah.
just, it's just
Yeah.
such a, like, even like to laugh loudly.
Right.
Like, what do you, I have, you know, my young women that I see and they're like, yeah, I'm just trying to be nonchalant. Why?
Why? Right.
What is that? I don't want to come off as uncool. And I'm like, oh man, whoo, yeah, you're right. That would be the worst. I'm very sarcastic, like very some of
Right.
that.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, that would be
Absolutely.
super weird if you cared about something. Well, it's like, and I have one that's like, yeah, no, you're right. Like, and I'm like, I'm not trying to be right. I'm just, what would it be like for you to be authentic, like to yourself and how you feel? Like, even just
But
in
that's
this,
the thing, though, they don't know how to. We see
no,
that all the time. We see that everywhere, right?
yes,
But no one knows. And this is why, again, shameless plug, this is why I love therapy and doing therapy, and people should be doing therapy, right?
yes,
So they can not just learn why it's so difficult for them to be authentic, right? Where did they learn that that was not okay?
yeah,
And being whatever was unacceptable.
yeah,
So that, see that, know that, acknowledge that, recognize it. And then, because therapy doesn't stop there. A lot of people think that that's where therapy stops, right? But therapy doesn't stop after you figure your shit out. Then
right,
it's okay, so then who do I want to be? And then your therapist helps you get to try on those different things, because you don't know, because you've never, there's no schema for it, there's no blueprint for it, there's no map of what this is supposed to look like. So I have an issue with social media, doing all these like pretty little things like love yourself because you can't love someone else until you love. But well, bitch, how? Be
right,
authentic, because your authenticity shines brighter than whatever. Okay, bitch, how? Right?
right,
How do you? What is being authentic to me? What does that look like for me? Right?
yeah,
And that is a skill to then navigate and learn and then practice, right? So we have the first end of it for therapy and then the last part of it for therapy also. It's not just to
yes,
sit there and figure it out, it's
mm-hmm.
also then now, right?
Right. What do I
And that
do with this newfound
you
information?
hope, right, right.
Yeah,
If they do it long enough, right?
mm-hmm.
Yes, because it's but once you get there, yes, like, and that's my biggest, you know, be you, whatever, let your crazy show. I love
Yeah,
showing my crazy. Like, let
me
your crazy
too.
show. Because it took a long time to have the privilege to be able to let it show. Does that make
Right.
sense? And then not give up afterwards, because
Yes.
everyone's going to judge. I can't be worried about judgment because everybody's going to judge no matter what.
Yes.
So just have
Yes.
fun with that, and I'll just continue doing me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then teaching people how to do it for themselves too.
Yes. And model, like, I think so much of therapy too, especially, you know, what I see with the younger kids is just modeling safety with a person. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like they are, you know, you mentioned social media. I have felt like really in the past, like, gosh, I don't know how long, like 6 months plus, like really burdened by my relationship with social media. I think for a long time it was like, you know, comparison, which I feel like I have tackled a lot of the roots of that for me. But the like consumerism, oh my gosh, I love that shirt. Let me just buy it. Like, no, I don't need to do that. But then just the intake of information and other people's opinions and being disappointed by it. Like,
Right.
so for Lent, I gave up social media, and my husband did not. He did not join me on this journey, but I'm glad he did it because like something came up on social media yesterday. You remember my stepsister? She's pregnant.
Yes.
She announced it on social media, and yeah, and he was like, "Hey, got something to tell you." Like he was being playful. I got the kids down. He was like, "Got something to tell you." Or there's something on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook, and he's like, "Somebody's pregnant," and I was like, "Oh!" And he like runs and like I'm like, "Where's your phone?" And so I text Morgan, and But, you know, even just like, I don't have that access to other people anymore. And I don't want to. I don't need to know
Right.
your deepest, darkest secrets. I don't want to know the things you would be judging me for. Like,
Right.
I don't need to know all of that. I
Right.
can exist in my own world and get information from the people I know and from the radio and from books I'm reading. And like, I don't have to be governed. That's, you know, probably dramatic, but by this manipulative source, like the algorithm and, you know, trying to figure out what's real and what's not with AI. It floors me, but I have felt so much better.
Yeah.
Personally. Like, I have no idea what's going on. And I'll ask my husband, like, so what's the news for the day? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
And I respect and trust him so much. And he knows what I'm interested in, or I'll, you know, play the radio, like our NPR. It's on NPR.
You're good.
And yeah, and that's where I get my information. It's not, you know, what, you know, somebody shared on social media that may or may not be true, that leads me down a rabbit hole, that gets me onto threads, it gets me onto all of these negative opinions. And I want to be educated about what's going on in the world, but not through someone else's lens.
Right.
I there's too much of us wearing other people's lenses that aren't fitted to our vision.
Right.
And setting the boundary with that is nice. And I think that, like, man, could we benefit from like Meta going down, you know, like
Right.
it's
Right.
great and used for the right purpose, but I was not setting appropriate boundaries with it, so it needed to go away for a little while.
Right.
But now I'm just on.
Which again, you know, that's just, in my opinion, that's another. I always say this is not supposed to be therapy like or whatever, but whatever. It is who I am. It is who we are. It is what it is.
Yes.
Right. But like, that's just another transformation in how the same theme shows up for you.
Yeah.
Before, when you were a child, it was your family, right? And then just like what you said with your mom, like, you don't get to do that. You don't get to impose your lens onto my children on whether or not they get to cry.
Yeah.
And then you said the exact same thing about social media. You don't get to impose your vision onto me.
Yeah.
That's mine for me to figure out on my own.
Yes.
So you're not only preaching what needs to be done, you're living it too. I love it.
Yes.
Proud of you.
Thanks. I love you. You're so awesome. You have always been, like, not to be punny, but like my North Star, like someone who is so connected to me made it. Like, you know, I remember I had a boss when I started at the university. I was in a different department and they were going to pay for me to go to grad school. And I was like, okay, crap. Like, I'm not going to let that go by. And so I tried a couple different programs, and my boss of the career center was an LPCS, so supervisor. And she was like, Sam, you would be an exceptional therapist. And I was like,
Yes.
my only cousin's a therapist. Like, she was like, you know, I think you had your own practice at the time. This was 2019, I think, when I started the program, 2018 when I applied. And I was like, you know, yeah, like, yeah, I can do that. She did that.
I remember you telling me.
Yeah.
I was so excited. It's like, you will come work for me at some point.
Yes. Yes.
It's like, move with me. Come over here.
Yes. It has been, I think I accidentally disclosed our relationship.
It doesn't matter.
But, you know, I remember one of my professors in one of my first classes saying, and it was like, it felt very dramatic at the time. He said, first, becoming a therapist will change you. Then you will change who you can in your family. Then you will help facilitate that change in your clients. But the first person who's going to experience the change is you. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And he His name was Dr. Inyang, and he was from Africa, and I loved him. He wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but he was mine. He was very direct, and he had the words he used, like he was very poetic and very direct. And I remember saying that and being like, man, I don't know if that just sounds cool or if I feel that, but right on, like right on. And it was so true. Like when I became a therapist, when I started the program, I was married to someone else that I just felt like, oh yeah, I have to marry you. I've been dating you since I was 16. Like, whoop, here we go.
Right.
And at the end of the program, I was married to a different person. This is a long program. Like, by the way, this didn't take place.
You're like, this wasn't in 6 months. Thank you very much.
But I divorced my husband, and that was just like, oh my gosh, I'm not resigned. Like, I can make change.
Right.
And even just that, like just that seed was nuts to me, because the dynamics of our relationship were what both of us had grown up with.
Yeah.
What our grandparents had experienced. We were from the same place. We were supposed to get married. We were supposed to have kids, and we were supposed to resent each other. And we were not supposed to, I wanted to travel. I wanted to do, like, I like to try different foods, and like, I love culture. I'm from Northeast Texas. I want to do something different. I want to be empowered to do something different. And I want my kids to celebrate differences and diversity. And that just have not been the move. It would have been a fight.
Right.
And I just remember that, oh my gosh, like, and I had another professor, and this professor is like the reason I made the changes. He was like, he saw me, and I remember him being like, I would be talking about something else, and he'd be like, hey, how's your marriage? And I'd be like, no, if you don't shut up. Like, this was in a group class and then a marriage and family class. And I was like, not well. And he's like, yeah, I didn't think so. And I remember texting, this was during COVID, texting my cohort and be like, what did I say? And they're like, he's a wizard. I have no idea how he knew that. And, just talking with him privately, and he's like, you can do so much better than this.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to want to. And I'm like, no, I want to. And he's like, not bad enough to make change. And I was like, okay, all right. And I did. And he's still in my life to this day. And he was like, no, you can't. Like, what are you doing? You don't have to be nice to people that are rude to you. This guy was from Massachusetts. He's from Boston, and he's in his mid 80s. And he would always say he loved to light a fire under people with sarcasm. He would say, I feel so bad for you Southern women. You just have to be nice. And we'd all get our prickles up. And he'd be like, oh, I'm a man. You can't say anything. And I mean, some of them would just be like, how dare he insult our culture? And I'm like, nobody's right.
Right.
Like, women here are expected to be submissive. Like, he's right. Like, don't you see it? And they're like, oh, okay. And then they're like, oh, so you're woke. And I'm like, no, it's happening in front of us. Like, it's happening right here in the room.
You're woke.
Like, ooh. But like, even now, like, you feel like you can't talk back to him. And it's not because you respect him as your faculty. It's because he's a man. Fire off if you're mad at him. Like, let him know. And it was amazing. But becoming a therapist changed me first. And it was the most amazing, like, if people knew what their therapist went through to become therapists.
Oof. Right. Well, that's what this is for. Right?
Yes.
That's what this platform is 100% for. And so that they can, that the struggles that they go through, they're not alone in it. We've been still sometimes struggle with it. We just have the terminology for it. Right?
Yes. We understand what we're going through on a different level. And I just love what you're doing. I love what you're doing. And I cannot wait to share this with people because it's so important.
Well, thank you for joining us and being here with us and sharing your story and talking about everything that we've talked about. I mean, there's so much more still. We could go on for hours, but thank you.
Thank you for having me. I was so excited. I was like, I have to put on my customer service voice because, you know, I've worked a lot.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Not sound like cornbread.
No. Thank you for bringing your true self.
Yes, yes.
I appreciate it.
Yes.
And thank you to everyone who's been watching and listening and following along. And we'll see you next time.
Yes.